Welcome to the Coeur d'Alene Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on a beautiful evening, October 16th, 2017. Melissa, let's get the meeting started with roll call.
Commissioner Cranston.
Here.
Commissioner McDowell.
Here.
Commissioner Lean.
Here.
Commissioner Tate. Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Wood.
Here.
Commissioner Ettinger.
Here. Thank you, Melissa. Commissioner Lean will lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. Do any of the members tonight have a conflict of interest with any of the agenda items tonight?
No, sir.
None here.
There are none. Next order of business then would be the review and approval of the July 17th, 2017 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments or corrections?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Wood and seconded by Commissioner McDowell to approve the July 17th, 2017 meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting minutes are approved unanimously. Rolling right along here, it brings us right up to staff reports. Bill, I'll let you take over.
Thank you, Commissioner Cranston. I'd like to introduce to you Jordan Anderson. He's on our Recreation Division, and he will be giving you the updates on what's been taking place on our Recreation Division. Take it away, Jordan.
How's it going, guys? My name's Jordan Anderson. I work for the Recreation Department. So we've been doing some fall activity stuff going on this fall. We're kind of wrapping that stuff up now. We've been doing flag football stuff. That was a really good turnout this year, actually more than last year. So we got to field a few more teams than usual, which was good. Youth soccer is typically our biggest draw for the fall for fall youth sports. We had over 500 participants actually for K through 8th grade. So that was a big turnout for fall soccer. On the adult side, we're just finishing up fall softball now. It's kind of late, but we had some rainouts, and then the week of smoke kind of put us back a week. So wrapping that stuff up and kind of moving on towards winter activities. We have basketball starting up, third through 8th grade basketball. That season will run first week of November to about the third week of December. So we're still looking for officials for that, for our men's league and for our youth basketball programs. But you can find those applications at cdaid.org. Also, the next swim lesson sign up will be October 30th, Monday, October 30th. There's 6-week sessions, either Monday nights, Wednesday nights, or Saturday mornings. We're offering a Fun Key program. It's a keyboard piano class for 1st to 3rd graders, and that's currently taking place at the moment right now, with another session starting up after the new year in January. And additionally, we've joined up with Skyhawks. They're our summer sports program coordinators. They're going to be doing some fall programming stuff for us on Friday nights, and that'll be from right about now through the end of December. All this information is on our activities guide on our website at cdaid.org /recreation, and then we update this information on our Facebook page as well. So if you guys need to know anything else, then that's where to find that. So,
Any questions for Jordan? Thank you, Jordan. Good report.
So on the park side of business, let's see, Urban Forestry, Katie Kusinski has applied for a fuel reduction grant at the Veterans Memorial Park. And so she submitted that on Friday. That's through FEMA, and we'll know in a few months whether we have received that or not. That'll be a good thing. I walked that property today, and there's some things in there that we can do. And Katie, along with Bobby Gondor with our fire department last summer walked it as well, and the fuel loads in there aren't bad, but they could still be addressed, and so hence the grant was written and we're hopeful that we'll get that. The Parks Department, we're in the throes of winterization, so all of the irrigation is being blown out, and the restrooms will be locked. For those who may be new to the area, the restrooms get locked down in the wintertime due to freezing pipes. At some of the more frequented parks, we will install porta potties. So that's why those are locked up. At many locations, we have signs that just talk about that, because there are some folks that don't understand that that's taking place, but we're in the middle of that. Our K-27 project is moving along very well. Last week, they finished putting in the concrete for the basin, and things are moving along at a good pace, and we're pleased with the results on how it's coming together. It's starting to really pop out of the ground. You can start to see really what it is. And so as soon as they get some more rocks in place, I think people's vision will, John Mueller's vision will come to their understanding. They'll be able to see it. So we're real pleased with that. Our building division, Howard Gould and his team has been very busy with the remodel at City Hall. We are to be moved down into our old spaces and open for business by next Monday. So there's a big push for us to be down on moving day is Thursday and Friday. So public, bear with us. We'll have stations open in our existing location, but we will be back down there starting Monday. My office has got his furniture back in there, and Howard will be taking care of all the stuff that's going to go on upstairs. So we're going to share our space with some folks. So it'll still be a little tight. We won't be moving into our digs really all fully, because we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people sharing our space, because their offices upstairs are going to be remodeled. So we're kind of busy, and it's all nice and cozy and fun.
They're going to move you back into an office with a window?
I'm back in my old office where I was previously, yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Question, Bill, kind of going back to closing of the park's restrooms. Is there any of the restrooms open year-round, for instance, McEwen Park or?
Thank you. Yes, McEwen has heaters, and so it stays open. We do lock it down after hours due to some vandalism, and so it does have a porta potty outside, but they're locked down just a little bit before dinner time, but they're open during the day.
Okay. Can you give us an update on what's happening with Memorial Park down the Four Corners area?
Yes, we're moving right along. You might have seen that the pad for the sports courts hasn't been pressed yet, but the gravel's been in place. It looked like the delivery of the retaining wall stones showed up yesterday or this morning, so that's going along. So everything seems to be tracking, other than the fact that the seed for Memorial Field went down much later than expected. So I've been talking with Al Williams about the possibility of them finding a different location for the college to play somewhere in the spring. So we believe we've got a spot for him. He and I have exchanged some voicemails. We're hoping to move them over to Sunset, and they could just use that field at their leisure. If I let them get on it, even though the grass might pop, it won't have the mowings on it that we need for the blade to harden off or thicken up, so that it could actually take the wear and tear of cleats running around on it. So I'd hate to get on there early and cause damage. It would be difficult for us to recover for the rest of the year. So Al understands that and is willing to go someplace else. But overall, things are, I think, going along very well. We will be put the final touches on an RFQ for the skate park, which is next spring, but we still want to get all that stuff in line so that when the spring comes along, we can pull the trigger on that. So Monty and I and Chris Bosley have been working on that, and we're going to work out some dates with Renata to figure out the sequence of advertisement on that RFQ. So this is just, the RFQ is the qualifications for someone that actually can build a skate park. Not just everyone can build a skate park. They've got to be a skate park builder and designer, and within that RFQ, there's ways for them to demonstrate that they are a qualified supplier of that service.
Mr. Chair.
Christie?
Bill, in my other life on the NIC board, NIC is contributing to the grandstands, to the remodel of the grandstands. Any idea when an RFQ would go out for that?
Well, I'm meeting with Tony, I think tomorrow or the next day, to Mr. Burns, and so we're going to talk about the funding to remodel the grandstands. And
But is there a time frame?
not yet, because we haven't identified the funding, but I hope to get some of that solidified with him and his board very shortly.
I see. Okay, thank you.
And we were excited to hear that NIC was participating, so those funds will certainly help the project out.
Okay.
Mike?
Yeah. Bill, is there a time frame? Are they looking at completing the paving for the parking area?
The parking
This fall?
area has to be paved the first week of November.
I heard November 1st.
Yeah.
So-
And that is planned still to happen?
So I'm being told, Commissioner, yes, we are very hopeful.
Parking lot paved.
Bill, as far as the schedule, what elements of the development, park development, is supposed to be completed this fall, and which elements will be finished in spring?
The real push this year is the parking lot. We were going to take advantage of some of that work to see if we can get some of the sports courts done in conjunction with the parking lot. The rest of the elements, the restroom facility and the playground, which has already been purchased as in storage, and our staff will install that, but everything else will be next spring.
Okay.
Other than what you see that's already come out of the ground. There's some modification to the fence that goes around Memorial Field. That's a temporary fence that you see currently. That was just to protect the seed. There's a different fence that goes up at a later date. And I think some of the delay had to do with some timing on delivery. And so we just put some stuff up to keep people off it until the seed can get up.
Mike, did you have another question?
Yeah, just one additional question. Sorry about that. I noticed we've got the Rock of Fame in a very nice location down there now.
I'm sorry, the Rock of
Memorial?
Fame? Yes, we
Yeah.
got it installed last week.
Yeah.
I'm sorry on the delay. The staff got a little busy. The guy that was doing the stonework got behind on some other stuff that he was doing. Initially, we had thought that that stone was going to get flanked by a couple of basalt columns. But the way it worked out, we were able to keep the footing that was on the sign before, and we buried that below grade, so it's extremely stable. We thought maybe that would all come off, but they had pinned it, and it was difficult to get off. So we just worked with what we had. We were going to put these basalt columns that had a groove in it, that this would just kind of set down in it, it would flank it and help stabilize it. Well, we didn't need to do that. So, yeah, it turned out really nice.
Yeah, it looks really good. One other thing, there has been some conversations here and there about the service club sign.
Yeah, yeah.
And the location for that sign. Could you talk a little bit about
You bet.
what is and isn't happening there?
What is happening is it is going to be installed. The location of the installation has been some conversation. The location will be at the river intersection, the Garden and Northwest Boulevard. So just to the north of the entrance into the new parking lot that will be paved before the first part of November. It will be just north of that entrance. And so Phil Boyd's working with our current contractor to get that installed.
Have you,
Ron?
have you talked to the people that have been involved in that?
I have.
And they're
I met
satisfied?
with Fritz and Lorna and Paul, and they met on site, and they believe that location is acceptable. I've involved Jeff with Silver Creek Signs. He understands that location. I think he would prefer, he's a little concerned about the exposure. There's a few trees there that I'll limb up and make certain that that sign is seen. And so I think his concerns are, I wouldn't say unfounded, but I think we can make it work very well there.
Okay, good, good.
Bill, you mentioned the Rock of Fame. Has there been any further thoughts on when we might want to present our three new nominees for the Rock?
No, and I apologize. We had talked about doing it this fall. If we can get something together real soon before it gets really bad. Like I said, it just was installed last week or so, and we were hoping to get it in sooner, and we were going to have something to honor Steve, Doug, and Karen. So I don't know if we can get something in before the weather's really bad and get everybody on site, but we can talk about that, I guess, at our workshop and see what we can do with that.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, since we nominated them last year and we had to wait because it was being moved, when would we make next year's nominations?
They can be done on a yearly basis, and I think
18th.
it's at the first of the year, so we could be coming up very quickly on a new nomination cycle.
Great.
Yep,
Okay, thank you, Bill.
thank you.
Do any of the commissioners have any comments or announcements?
Just one, if
Christie?
I may. I just wanted to continue off what Bill said with the K27 Memorial. As you know, the council showed up for the groundbreaking about a month ago, and a lot's happened in a month, and it is coming together quite nicely. I wanted to take an opportunity to thank my brother-in-law, Jeff Wood, for donating an awful lot of rock and boulders to the project. We're certainly still accepting donations because we still have a lot to do, but I believe we're hoping to open it in November before the snow hits.
Correct. We're hoping to charge the system, and so
Yeah.
that we can see that it's functioning.
Yeah.
And then we'll just probably turn right around within a very few days of that and go ahead and winterize it.
Yeah, but it's exciting to see, you know, at the groundbreaking, watching Greg's kids get to be part of that, and his whole family, his parents, his wives, and it was really, really great. It's going to just mean so much to so many people, and I was down here yesterday, the day before, just walking around with my husband looking at it, and so many people were walking up and commenting, like, well, this is cool, what is this, what's this going to be? And it'll be so nice when everything's in place that explains what it is, but it's really going to be magnificent, so thanks for all the hard work.
Thank you, Christie. I don't believe we have any of the public here with us that would like to comment that's not attached to a agenda item, so we'll move right through public comments up to our next item, which is going to be a presentation by Angie Goucher regarding specialized needs recreation. Bill, would you like to?
Yeah, so Angie and I have been now working together for about 3-4 years, and Steve normally would give a presentation on their program, and I just thought, kind of like with Jordan, I think it's important to you all see the faces of the people that are doing the work, and so I asked Angie if she'd be interested in making a presentation to you rather than me taking her information and regurgitating it to you. I thought it'd be nice to have her here and do it herself. So Angie, she's here to give you an update with her program.
Welcome, Angie.
Thank you for having me. Is this on?
I think, yeah.
Thank you for having me, and I am just really looking forward to getting to know a few new faces and seeing a few of the old faces up there, and
Getting older.
no, not that. You guys have been here a long time, is what I meant. I also have been here a long time. I have been the Executive Director of Special Needs Recreation for 19 and a half years, so I know a couple of you, I think, have been here that long, and that's what I meant by that comment. Tonight, I just, for those of you that don't know about our program, I'll just briefly go through it a little bit. It's really hard for me to keep it at a 5 to 10 minute presentation because there's just so much to it. But before I do that, I just really wanted to come and tell you how important the city of Coeur d'Alene is to us. Without your support and contributions, Specialized Needs Recreation would not exist. For those of you that don't know, we were part of the city of Coeur d'Alene at one time, and the funding was cut many years ago. In fact, 30 years ago, this is our 30th year anniversary in December of being a nonprofit. And so 30 years ago, Steve took this organization. He thought it was valid and needed to be around, so he him and some parents took this and made it into the nonprofit status, and United Way and the City of Coeur d'Alene were our sole funders at that time. In fact, they were the sole funders when I came along 19 and a half years ago as well. And when I first started, we had a summer camp program and a dance here and there. And we've really grown in the last 19 years to offer just about anything and everything that people who have special needs would want. And it's really a very unique collaboration of cities, not only the city of Coeur d'Alene, but the city of Post Falls, Rathdrum, and Hayden also. We are there, we act as their special needs recreation program. So anytime somebody needs or wants something for that particular population, they can call the city of Coeur d'Alene, and we're in their brochures, and in the city of Rathdrum and Post Falls and Hayden as well. Oftentimes it's hard to offer programs in the regular recreation program for our kids. So this works out really well. They're able to say, well, we do offer and provide that program for people with special needs, and this is what it is, specialized needs recreation. So it's just a very unique collaboration in which I don't think I've ever seen or heard of before, different cities pulling together and instead of paying staff and providing their own program, it's a lot cheaper and a lot more efficient, and why, recreate the wheel when you already have it. So it's just a really great thing all the way around. And the city of Coeur d'Alene has and always, hopefully always will be, one of our biggest supporters. Some of the things that you guys help us with are the insurance on the vans. We have gotten 2 grants for our vans through the Inland Northwest Community Foundation and the Women's Gift Alliance. And what we did with those vans, if you don't know, is we turned around and gave them back to the city. So the city can also use them, but we're allowed to use them at first use. And then you guys provide the insurance and maintenance, which is the maintenance. I will tell you, the street department, they know us by name. They are huge to our program. If we had to pay for insurance and maintenance, we wouldn't exist right there. Those are 2 huge things that you guys help us with. Also storage down at the Park and Recreation building. We have a pretty big space down there to store all of our extra things. You guys give us a annual contribution each year, and this last month, not only did you guys give us a great annual contribution, but also we were able to receive some funding from the Ironman grant that you guys wrote, which was a significant amount of money. Much more than we asked for, which was denied when we wrote that grant. Our grant was denied, but the city of Coeur d'Alene Park and Recreation decided to give a portion of that money and then some to us. So thank you very much for that. We also, this weekend is our first annual Monster Mash Dash down at McEwen Park. So you guys are very gracious in letting us use that facility without paying for it. The city of Rathdrum and Post Falls and Hayden also do the same. They give the annual contribution. They allow us to use their parks free of charge for different events if they're not, coinciding with something that you guys have going on. They also offer lifeguards, and at one time, the city of Coeur d'Alene actually had our whole accounting department, so we've weaned off that, which is nice, but without the help of all of these things, our program, it's a very limited budget, and we scholarship a lot of our kids, and we provide transportation. We do a lot with very little. We only have 3 staff total I mean, we have more on staff, but they're very, very part-time. So our volunteers, they log in, this last year it was over 16,000 hours in 1 year. So we use volunteers instead of staff. That was the first thing I did when I took over, was there was a lot of staff at that summer camp, and we just decided to do away with the staff and bring in the volunteers at that time, and every penny goes back to the program. This year also, the Arts Commission just gave our Out of the Shadows Theater, which we just started last year, $4,000 for the Out of the Shadows Theater. So you guys are just so dear to us, and I very much miss Steve, but Bill has been so awesome to work with, and I just appreciate all your support, and I appreciate the support of the City Council and the Parks Commission, and we have all kinds of programs now. We've got camps for kids, we have an SNR Life program for our young adults, we have a prom, and talent show Out of the Shadows Theater, 5 to 10 monthly activities, monthly dances, and each and every one of those programs are run off volunteers, very little staff, the use of your vans, and very low program fees. So we can keep all of our program fees very low. And the reward is, when I first started in this career, I worked at an institution, and I swore after leaving that place that I would make a difference in the lives of people with special needs, that they will not be stuck in an institution, they wouldn't be in their bedrooms anymore. They were going to be a part of this community and a part of, just like you and I. They should have every opportunity as you and I should. And we have strived for 19 and a half years. This community is an amazing community to live in. And people know our kids with special needs. They accept them, they love them. And I've watched kids go from coming with their heads hung low, no social skills, no friends, alone, parents in distraught, sad because their kids don't get out, to ecstatic about the changes in their kids' lives. So you guys are huge in helping us, change the lives of, we served last year duplicated participants all the way around in the camps through all the entire program, over 8,000 duplicated participants. And there's about 572 from Coeur d'Alene, just not duplicated. So duplicated is they've been to one or more activities throughout the year. So we just want to thank you guys. And I do have something here for the city of, the Coeur d'Alene Parks and Recreation. And then the city of Coeur d'Alene, I wanted to give one to each of you. It's nothing in comparison to what you guys do, but really just wanted to thank you so very much for.
Well, thank you,
Thank you.
Angie. It's very much appreciated what you and your staff do and the programs you provide. It's just a wonderful opportunity you provide to the community. Got a question for you. Do you have other fundraising events that you have over the course of the year you would like to announce?
We do a couple of fundraisers a year. One of our parents started the Black Rock fundraiser, and that is usually held in April or May. His name is Jim Kinney, and he raised over $100,000 last year. We are putting a portion of that away each year to hopefully someday get our own facility. As of right now, we rent, and we are outgrown our facility. We try to run 2 different programs in there during summer, so it's really crowded. So that is something that we're trying to do in the next couple of years, is purchase our own facility. And then we do a talent show fundraiser. That is a really fun event to go to. It's held in May. It's on May 2nd this year, and our kids and adults, they practice for 6 months for this talent show, and then they put it on for the community. And that one just goes towards scholarshiping our kids for summer camp. That helps scholarship kids for summer camp. And then we do our, the Out of the Shadows is kind of a fundraiser for that particular program to, and that will be coming up November 17th, 18th, and 19th at the Kroc Center, and that is, they're doing Fiddler on the Roof this year, and it's an amazing event. It really is. They've got a lot of the theater groups involved, helping them, and they have shadow actors that help them know their lines and that kind of thing. And then the Monster Mash will go on this weekend on Saturday. A guy that I never even knew just asked if he could do a fundraiser for us. I knew his mom, but some of our parents and stuff knew him, but I did not know him at the time when he approached me, and he's been working very hard on this for like 2 years to prepare for this event for us. So, and then we just do little ones here and there, but those are our bigger ones.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Any other questions for Angie?
No, just compliments.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah.
what you do.
Thank you.
Angie?
Couldn't do it without you and the support of our community. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have an action item regarding the Tiki Hut lease renewal. This is a 3-year agreement for food concession at Independence Point. The decision tonight would be whether to extend food concession agreement with Tiki Hut for 2018, 2019, and 2020 season. In 2009, we accepted RFQs for food service in Independence Point. We chose the Tiki Hut proposal and entered into agreement to provide food service for the 2009 season, and we have chosen to renew their contract every season since then. The staff of the Tiki Hut does a good job of providing food service and information to park visitors. The fee for the 2018 season will be $6,083.68 to be paid before April 15th, 2018. The 2019 fee will be $6,199.27 to be paid before April 15th, 2019, and the 2020 season fee will be $6,317.05 to be paid before April 15th, 2020, with the payment being made to the city's Park and Recreation Department. The food vendor provides a service to the public that we do not provide. It is in a good location that is well-known and visible to daily park visitors and new visitors. We received many comments from the park visitors that they were quite pleased with the vendor, the staff, and the service. Tiki Hut will have an outdoor barbecue again this season, and they'll be using a 22-foot trailer at the designated site. Again, the decision tonight would be whether to recommend to General Services to renew the agreement with Tiki Hut for the 2018, 19, and 20 season. Bill, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Randy Folk and his staff have been, as I said in the staff report, very easy to work with, and they do a great job at being ambassadors for us. They, in fact, they have had in the past some of our park brochures they'll pass out and give people all kinds of direction, but no, they've been just good to work with.
We have a draft of the lease agreement. Is there anything that has significantly changed other than the fees?
No,
yearly
not
fees?
really. Legal's gone through that for us, and everything's been up to snuff, and so just the fees primarily.
Okay,
I move for the renewal.
okay. Motion's been made to renew the lease. Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Ettinger and seconded by Commissioner McDowell to recommend to General Services approval of a new 3-year lease.
Is there discussion, Mr. Chair?
Yep, there's now discussion.
Thank you. Just for clarification, just because I'm new here, they are wonderful people. I think you're right, they're good ambassadors for the city. But I'm just curious about the 3-year lease and what's the process of, do you have other vendors that compete for this, or how do you handle that?
No, in 2009, we had a vendor that gave up his option, and that's at the point then when we went out to bid, or RFQ at the time. And so that's the way it works.
So if you do a 3-year lease, how does Anybody else?
At some point, if the folks decide not to renew, is when it becomes available. The gentleman before him was Gordon with Fantastic Foods, and Gordon stopped doing that, and it became available, and that's when the folks picked it up.
I see. So until they're no longer available, we just kind of, this rolls over?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Bill, has there been other requests for lease availability in the Independence Point area?
Not for food, no.
concession?
Not that I'm aware of, not that anybody's brought it to my attention.
Okay.
The only food concessions that we do kind of encroach into that area is during the Taste of Coeur d'Alene's, and those food concessions go pretty darn close to the end of that. We did allow Randy, when when Full Ironman was here, he would move his trailer to a different location, kind of closer to the top of the knoll rather than down on the beach. But no, I have not had any requests.
Thank you.
Call for the question.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. That motion carries unanimously and will be on the agenda the next General Services meeting. Next is waterfront offshore operations. This is an action item. And the decision tonight is, does the Parks and Recreation Commission want to create a new commercial offshore water-based business opportunity within the City of Coeur d'Alene's jurisdiction? Over the years, we've had requests for additional commercial spaces within the waterfront corridor. Those requests have not come to fruition due to the lack of space available and creating conflicts with the general public and the current vendors. There are no costs to the City of Coeur d'Alene if approved. We would generate some revenue from this activity. At our commercial docks, have 9 bays with 5 different vendors utilizing the dock, as well as 1 food vendor at Independence Point Beach. Each of these businesses works within our jurisdiction and complies with regulations and stipulations of their lease agreement with us. The creation of a water-based business would be difficult for us to manage, as well as other departments to assist in that management, given the nature and location of this type of business. Again, does the Parks and Recreation Commission want to create a new commercial offshore water-based business opportunity within the city's jurisdiction? Bill, do you have further comment on the report?
Just to your comment or question moments ago about food vendors. So we've had several folks that have come to us over the years about some other opportunities within the waterfront corridor. As stated in the staff report, we've never followed up on those due to those conflicts. And we've had some requests over the last year, and I thought we should get some clarity on that request from you, whether or not you believe this is something that we should or should not do.
Well, you might kind of mention the last couple of requests we've got are essentially commercial activities that are based offshore, but within the city's jurisdiction.
That's correct.
So when these requests have come up, I know that both the fire and police departments have kind of weighed in on this. I'd
They
be
have.
interested to kind of hear what their comments have been.
Yeah, I had spoken with both those departments. Glenn was going to be here, but he couldn't make it, Glenn Lopper with the fire department. They have some, as I stated in the staff report, some difficulty managing that. And the police department doesn't have a boat, so all of that would have fell onto the fire department's plate to go out there to deal with any infractions and/or enforcement. They were not interested in doing that. There was a lot of conflict that we saw with the commercial traffic and even with some of our public due to the fact that getting to the vessel that you're referencing had people in the water with boats that were coming up to it that were under power.
Mr. Chair?
Chrissy?
Or maybe you want to talk? I was just going to make a motion.
Actually, I was going to comment
Oh, certainly.
first, certainly a motion. You know, during the course of the summer, after this first came up, I made it a point to probably at least once weekly go down and see how that operation functioned, just to make sure I understood where we were at. And one of the things that became readily apparent is that we have all kinds of activities down there right now with the swimmers at City Beach. There's been an increase in the number of personal flotation devices, so they're out much further than they would have normally been, say, 10 years ago. Additionally, we've got all of the paddle craft and the various different things like that that are out there. And then we have this barge in the middle of all that with a powerboat going back and forth from, it appeared somewhere around the 3rd Street dock area, carrying people back and forth. It just looked like an accident waiting to happen to me. And so I've got some real serious reservations about how you could make something like that in that location a safe operation. It looks like if it were out there by itself someplace away from all other traffic, could be a real fun operation, managed correctly. But in that location, that's the last thing I think we need there.
Well, one of the things too, not only being an offshore-based business, but transportation to and from, the selling of tickets, I understand it is going to require some use of public property on shore
That's
to
correct.
be able to access the activity. So is that problematic in any way for you, based on what we have going on our waterfront?
Well, given
Facilities?
Commissioner McDowell's comment about the motorboat, yes, if they were to be, let's say, for example, they had a ticket booth at City Beach, you all know how busy City Beach is, and that there is a buoy line that doesn't allow boats in there. So we'd have to craft something in a way that was allowed us to bend our own ordinance and then put our citizens who are swimming at risk because of motorboats coming in to pick them up to take them out to a vessel. So right there was problematic, and I don't see how to get around that.
I know Christie may have a motion forthcoming here, but I'm just kind of ask you the question, depending on which way we go with a decision here tonight, whether or not we would entertain a new type of activity. If it's in the affirmative, we would be sending a motion through, I assume, to General Services.
Well,
But
if
if it's not something we want to entertain, do we need a motion at all?
you could stay here for lack of a motion, correct? If you were to entertain the idea, I would move it forward to General Services. I'd have to figure out how to craft this, and that's the biggest rub, is how to understand how to create a use that would be good for the city, good for its citizens, and good for the vendor. And I honestly haven't been able to get my head wrapped around how to create that.
Well, I know this is a subject that we've discussed quite a bit in workshop, and I think the group here is probably interested in taking a position on this, so whatever form that takes, I think it's important that it becomes part of the meeting notes
Agreed.
and be forwarded to General Services and Council.
Commissioner Lean has something to say.
Jim?
A couple questions. Is this location specific, or just any place where the city has jurisdiction offshore?
It's within, so any of the waterfront activities really lays primarily in parkland. So it's the entire jurisdiction, which is at 1,000 feet.
So it's really around the downtown Independence Point Beach is what we're really talking about here.
And
I've seen the same thing as Mike did, but is there other properties that we would ever consider, that might, we're not really addressing that right now?
No. Our property, the city's jurisdiction was within 1,000 feet.
Okay.
And so this encompasses all of that. If anyone can find a new location that may be private, I think that would probably be the best way to go.
I don't know if the General Services Committee would want this. I think that Christie, I don't know what her motion's gonna, excuse me, motion's gonna be, but if it has to do with saying no, I would be in favor of that.
Well, and you kind of
Show your
clarified.
hand there, Ron.
Yeah.
And you helped clarify, do we need a motion on a decision point if we're not going to move this forward? I'm happy to make, my motion essentially is that I recommend to the Park and Recreation Board that we do not want to move forward and create a new commercial offshore water-based business opportunity within the city's jurisdiction. That would be my motion, but if we don't need a motion, if it just dies, either way.
Bill, I guess I had a question back to Bill. Do you need a policy on this in some form so that you can kind of deal with the requests and things that come forward?
Correct. And so a position from you is critical, whether there's a motion that is made and there's no second, and it stays here is fine. And as commissioners, you're welcome to change the decision point and craft it the way Commissioner Wood described that. You could make a motion on that description of that motion. So either way, if that's the position that you would like to take, will work.
Mike?
From my point of view, I think it would be better that we make a declaratory statement with regard to how we feel about this at that location. I mean, this could be a very good business in a quiet, reclusive kind of an area,
Agreed.
but this is not that. And I don't know of any place within our city jurisdiction that this could work. So I would favor making a statement, which is the motion that Christie had mentioned, that would say, I'm sorry, this just does not work at that location with everything that we've already got going on there.
So with that said, Mike, are you proposing an amendment to the motion? We get to the point being location-specific?
I don't know of any other alternate locations, so I'm happy with the motion the way it is.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Did
Motion.
you make a motion?
I did.
Okay.
I kind of floated it out there.
So,
Let's
excuse me,
consider
Commissioner,
that a motion.
for clarity, we are seconding Commissioner Wood's motion,
That we do not move forward to create, yes.
and then for clarity with Commissioner McDowell, what you were concerned about was, it might be something at a private little reclusive cove somewhere, but it does state this within the decision, within the city's jurisdiction, so there's clarity to make that clear as well.
Correct.
Yes.
And so I
can repeat my motion if you'd like.
why don't you repeat it one more time, Christie?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to Park and Rec that we do not create a new commercial offshore water-based business opportunity within the city's jurisdiction.
Okay. Ron, you're going to second it?
Second.
Okay. Second been made by Commissioner Ettinger. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. That motion, essentially your policy statement moves forward unanimously. I guess with that, go ahead, Mike.
I guess I would just ask Ron, would you like to have that information passed forward to the General Services Committee?
Sure.
Okay.
I normally take all of your stuff and push that forward, so that will go to General Services, which I think actually has been, we don't have a quorum, and I believe that will go directly to council this month.
Mr. Chair, before you adjourn, can we talk about the next month meeting and the workshop?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Our next regular monthly meeting is scheduled for Monday evening, November 20th, 5:30, right here in the library community room. And what is being proposed as far as our agenda is concerned is any business items that we would be taking care of at the beginning of the meeting. Once the business items have been completed, we would adjourn into a workshop. The purpose of the workshop would be to receive the community's comments and ideas regarding the master plan for Veterans Centennial Park up off of Fernan Hill Road. So there has been a preliminary conceptual plan developed for that property. We encourage not only the neighborhood near the park, but the rest of the community to come out to the workshop and kind of give their ideas and give their input here to this commission. So we kind of look forward to that. The workshop will be a little bit more of an informal opportunity to have free discussion between the commissioners and the community. So please try to attend that.
And we will push that forward through Facebook and news release, saying you're absolutely right, Commissioner Cranston, is that we want the public, just not the neighborhood, but it's a city park, and so we encourage everybody to show up and help us create the best park we can at this location that Emma Van Luken gifted to us.
Yeah. I think probably have a brief presentation at the beginning of the workshop to kind of present the history of how the city received and acquired the property and kind of the process that went into the master plan up to this point. So then hopefully we'll have a good discussion with the community and
So the Open Space Committee who worked on this will be here, and they're going to help with the workshop.
Good.
So those members will be here. Mike Walker, who was here a few months ago and presented the plan that they came up with, will be here. Mike Kempton, one of our staff, will be kind of spearheading this program, and so we look forward to it.
Great.
Okay.
Mike?
Yes, Bill, where is this park located for our general public's information?
So
A
if you
lot
were
of
to-
folks may not even know where this is at.
So if you were to go to the Ponderosa Golf Course, you take Fernan Hill Road up, and you go about a mile or and a half, or mile and a quarter, and it's up there on the left-hand side. There's an access road that is an easement that Emma gave us to get into this 16-acre parcel. Currently, it is some wooded 7 acres on one end, and it had been cleared by her family as pasture land. So the lion's share of that 16 acres is just what it is just an open meadow, really, at this point.
Okay, thank you.
And what we'll do too, Commissioners, we'll probably, I'm trying to thinking out loud here, in that press release, we'll probably identify that location. That's a really good thought that you popped in my head for me. So I think we'll go ahead and maybe have a map to showing that spot, and we'll do the same thing. The same press release will probably be the one that we use on our Facebook, but I'll work with Sam Taylor and getting the word out. Commissioner Wood has some contacts around the neighborhood, so she'll help with getting all those folks notified. So
I would like to do that, at least notify the Block Watch group up there. I can do that quite
that would
easily.
be great.
Okay.
Any other comments? Well, the only other announcement I'd have, in addition to the November 20th meeting, would be our workshop would be at 11:30, November 7th, which is Tuesday, at Caruso's Deli. So those will be two of our upcoming meetings for next month. And with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Edgar and seconded by Commissioner McDowell to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Wow.
That's a lot.